Hi, everyone. If you can hear me, can you just wave or give me a thumbs up or something? Perfect. Okay, well, thank you all for joining us for Inmates to Entrepreneurs Southeast Course Week number 2. My name is Allie Thomas. I am the person who has been emailing you for the better part of since whenever you signed up for the course. I have a couple of quick housekeeping notes, and then we're going to go ahead and jump right into the class this evening. A couple of people have already mentioned it, but if your name isn't your full name or isn't your first name and your last initial, please change it so we can track your attendance, or you can private message me, or you can email me. If you're just still not sure, please feel free to respond to one of my emails letting me know that you're here. I did get a couple of questions this week, so I wanted to clarify. You don't have to turn in the weekly homework. That is strictly for you to better work through business ideas and concepts and principles. So while we encourage you to do them, we're not going to check your homework and we're not going to collect it. And then the last thing is, as a reminder, I will be sending everyone this class recording as well as the slides tomorrow. We ask that you attend at least 6 out of the 8 classes in order to graduate. So if you know, for example, maybe your work schedule is weird or you have something that comes up, just email me, let me know. I want to make sure that you have the materials that you need so you don't miss anything, but I also want to make sure that we're in contact so I know that you are still participating and attending the class. We do have Scott Jennings back with us this evening. We also have an instructor, Nikki Grizzle, who I will let introduce herself in just a moment. Otherwise, if you have any questions, please feel free to throw it in the chat, message me, anything you need. Scott, Nikki, I'm gonna let you take it from here.
All right, cool. Thanks, Allie. Hey, everybody. Glad to see y'all back. We do have a couple people still filtering in, whatnot. So hope everybody's had a good week. It's been a rough one for me. I need y'all's energy. I left my home Saturday morning, and I just got back a couple hours ago. So I've been out on the road working and doing whatever is necessary to run a business. So I need y'all's energy tonight. So I look forward to some good participation. With that said, has anybody found the cat filter for Zoom? Because I don't know where that filter came from. If anybody has seen that video online, I want the cat filter. I'm going to do a whole class as a cat one night just for the heck of it. No, I guess nobody has found the filter. Okay, well, and if you don't know what to talk about, you just got to go look for cat filter and Zoom and see what comes up. All right, so anyhow, you guys don't know Nikki, so you guys met me last time. You've heard me run my mouth enough, but I'm going to let Nikki introduce herself, and then we're going to get class started. Nikki, what's up?
Hey, so yeah, I am Nikki Grizzle. I'm the founder of the Entrepreneur Solutionist. We're a team of entrepreneurs across the globe that specialize in different areas, industries. I specialize in entrepreneur coaching, time management, productivity, and lifestyle development. And we work with everybody from new entrepreneurs, startups, and established businesses.
Good deal. All right. So you guys are going to learn a lot from her. Remember, if you have if you have questions, make sure you raise your hand. Let's make sure this is as interactive as possible. So tonight we're basically going to talk about 2 things, and that's going to be sort of how to name your business and get it up off the ground. And then we're going to get into marketing. All right. But first and foremost, elevator pitches. Every class, elevator pitch. So we hope you took our advice and wrote down your elevator pitch and started working that out. So we're going to randomly call on 3 people, but because this is only second class, me and Nikki are going to lead with ours, and then we're going to call on some people. So I'm Scott Jennings. I own Service RX. We're a fitness equipment installation company servicing from Pennsylvania to Hilton Head to Atlanta. It's that simple. Nikki, what's yours?
I did mine. I led off with mine.
Well, let's do it again. Let's just do it all again.
All right, for those that are just entering. So I am Nikki Grizzle. I am the founder of the Entrepreneur Solutionists. We're a team of entrepreneurs across the globe that specialize in different areas, different industries. I specialize in entrepreneur coaching, time management, productivity, and lifestyle development and management. And we work with everyone from new entrepreneurs, startups, and established companies.
Good deal. All right. Self-employed, you're never done. My wife is not available to answer said text message, and so I had to. See, you got a time management around here. You always got to be nimble. All right. So hopefully this person will figure out what I need. If not, I'm going to have to pass it off to you and actually do something with the camera off. So, all right, good deal. So, Charlie, give me 3 people.
All right, let's do Desiree Mitchell.
And I see Keisha's got her hand up too, so she's volunteering. We will throw
All right.
her on the
The next
Barbie as
one.
well.
Okay, y'all ready?
Yep.
Okay, my name is Desiree Mitchell. I own Herbal Tea Apothecary, and we make customized, handcrafted herbal teas and supplements specifically designed for your healthcare needs. That's
Okay.
it.
All
So
right.
if you have high blood pressure and gout, you'd get a different tea or supplement or whatever than Susie, who has, just wants weight loss or whatever.
Okay. I understand exactly what you do, and even with how you explained it, I think you can explain it while not feeling like you're telling me you have to explain it.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense, Nikki? Am I making sense with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I got it. You're making specialty herbal teas, and instead of sort of telling me like I don't know what it is, you can state like, so I'm just trying to think here. Our teas are great for those who have gout or whatever.
Whatever.
You
Gotcha.
know what who you're talking to and whom that might resonate with, especially like, let's just say there's something that, well, I don't know if teas can help diabetes, but you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like-
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. So same principle.
Mhm.
But yeah, otherwise great. I mean, wonderful. Just keep working on it to where it just flows.
Gotcha.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good job. All right, Keisha.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
ma'am.
Hi, I am Keisha Clark, founder of Kids So Genius Foundation, Inc. We are a nonprofit in Atlanta, Georgia. We help underprivileged youth by offering them courses that show them how to pivot out of poverty. We teach classes in sewing, crafting, gardening, fishing, money management, and many, many more. So if you're tired of your children sitting on social media for the whole day, you definitely need to give us a call. Once again, I'm Keisha Clark with Kids So Genius Foundation, Inc.
Okay. Nikki, you want to go first?
I think it's pretty good, straight to the point. Towards the end, when you start kind of listing what you do, I would kind of, I would limit it to maybe 3, and then you can say, and many more. But yeah, I just probably stick to 3.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say it started off just fine, but then you turned it into a commercial at the end.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, right? So think about your first half, you stated what you were and what you did, but then you infomercialed us. And that's not what the elevator pitch is about. It's just to keep it simple. But otherwise, great, So just practice not wanting to talk too much. That's human nature for all of us. We want to talk too much because we want to explain ourselves away. And there's no
Okay.
need. Okay.
So like stop it like right after I would go into the skills, just stop it there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Good. One more, Charlie.
All right, let's do Autumn.
Okay, great. Hi. So you just gave the suggestion about the infomercial, and I was like, oh gosh, mine sounds awful infomercially at the end. So I just made a little brief adjustment there. So my name is Autumn McCraw, and I'm the founder and CEO of Wholeness Holistic Care. We are the first facility of its kind in the area. We work with women with substance use disorder on their journey to wholeness, specializing in co-occurring disorders like CPTSD, eating disorders, and other mental health issues. We treat the mind, body, and soul. We offer a complete continuum of care from detox to aftercare with a unique curriculum designed specifically for them.
Yeah, that was the infomercial.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. I mean, you know, because here's the deal. All right, so you guys understand it's an infomercial, but what you're doing ultimately is you're getting it out of your head. You're getting it onto paper, because if you don't do it, it's just 10 times harder to figure out. So now what you want to do is just clean that up, because if I'm in the elevator and you have the opportunity to tell me about stuff, you don't want to push me away. You want to give me a little bit, and so that if I am interested, I'll ask a question. Nikki, you got anything for that?
Yeah, pretty much what he said. And I like to also say you have to know who your customer is. That's important. So like, for example, with Scott, his is much shorter than mine, but I cater to a certain demographic, a certain group of people. So mine naturally is going to be longer than his.
Yeah.
So that as well. But I think there's a lot of information, but you can consolidate it.
Yeah. And see, for the difference is with me too, because I'm in a very specific niche, that the size of my footprint is a factor in the communication. And then I'm only going to be talking to very specific people. So I'm in an industry, I cannot go outside, hit a golf ball, and most likely hit a customer, you know? So I'm going to be always talking to a very specific crowd with that. So anyhow, well, good job.
Hey, Scott, let's do one more.
Okay.
David's just sitting there, and we got to give him a chance.
Okay.
Hi, first let me say that I haven't chosen a business name yet, so I'm going to leave that bit out.
Okay, we'll call it Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity.
All right. My name is David Guffey. I am the CEO and founder of Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity.
Yes.
I am a freelance 3D modeler and animator. If you need custom meshes, shaders, texturing, rigging, or animation for digital projects, I can help.
Yep. I think you should keep the name Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity, by the way, because that rolled off your tongue like you've said it way too many times already. Hey, you'd be a standout. By the way, that was good. Now, if I knew what rigging and meshing and all this other stuff was, then I think I'd be sold. I don't know if that's too industry specific. I guess it depends on who you're talking to. That's the only thing I got to say about it. Nikki?
No, just what you said.
I must be intelligent tonight, man. All right. Okay. We'll roll with what he said. Cool. No, dude, great. Yeah, you should try Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity 3D services.
Don't do it, David. Don't do it.
I want to see that on a business card. That would be awesome. Maybe have a what is it? IHOP had that, you know? Yeah. Anyhow, okay.
All right, moving on.
I'm done. Moving on. Thank you guys. That was awesome. I'm starting to get my energy back. I needed y'all tonight. Okay. So, what we're gonna do? We're gonna start off with business name and sort of getting off the ground. Nikki, you want to roll with this one first?
Okay. So we're starting with first thing, how to come up with a business idea.
Yep.
And marketing. So the first thing is, let's talk about goals of starting a business, because each one of us here, we have our own reasons of why we wanted to start a business. Like for me, to be honest with you, I just love money. That's my answer, right? But some of us, we want to do it because of our lifestyle. Maybe we want a bigger home, bigger cars, or whatever. And then some of us are looking at wealth. We want to leave something to our kids, our grandkids. Maybe we want to start a business and eventually sell it, right? So those are two of the main goals of starting a business. Now, we're going to get into the types of businesses. So there's 3 types of businesses, okay? So first we have your service business, right? And this is when you do something for somebody. So like a delivery business, think of like, you know, Uber or DoorDash. You have house cleaning, you have lawn care, services like that. And then we have your product-based businesses. This is when you sell something like a good or a product. So if you have like an app, food carts, herbal teas and stuff like that, that's a product-based business. And then what we have is our blended product and service business. So think of your cable, right? So think of Spectrum Cable. You have your cable box, but you also have your TV channels, right? What else? Let's think of Amazon is actually a blended product. They have products that you can buy, but they also have services, right? So that's what we mean when we say a blended product or service, okay? So now let's talk about factors into selecting your business. Okay. So before I start, just know that you don't have to fulfill all of these that we're going to talk about below. But the first thing is you want to be familiar with whatever industry that you're getting into, right? So for instance, like for me, I'm not really a tech person, so it wouldn't make sense for me to get into the tech industry, right? But now for like entrepreneurship, real estate investing, like that's something that I am an expert in, so I'm in that business. Next, you want to be passionate about the work, right? And this is 50-50 because like I said, I got into business because I love money. So initially the first business I started, I wasn't really passionate about it, but what it did was allow me to kind of save, build up and, you know, kind of network so I can start the businesses that I really was passionate about, right? Next, proven market, right? You don't want to start a business that doesn't make any sense, that's not making any money, right? A cleaning business, you know, that's a proven market. Everybody's looking for a house cleaner. Nobody really likes to clean their house. I know I don't. But you want to make sure that there's a proven market for that, okay? A service that people don't like to do. There's a service called Duty Calls where they started partnering with like residential people, commercial. Well, they'll go and pick up dog poop in your yard, right? And that's just something that most people unfortunately don't want to do, whether it's their dog or whatever. So that's a business that is actually very started off really small, but grew substantially because it's a service that people don't like to do themselves. And the other thing is things that make people's lives easier, right? So like I said, for cleaning, lawn care, right? That makes people's lives easier. So anytime that you're trying to select what business you think, you know, how is this going to affect other people or how am I going to be able to help other people? That's the thing that I always like to ask myself, right? So now we're going to talk about getting ready to launch your business, right? Once you select your business idea, once you decide if it's going to be a product or a service, or if it's going to be a blended product service business, now you got to ask yourself, should I keep my day job, right? Unfortunately, a lot of people get to this point to where they start making money in their business and like, oh, you know, I'm going to quit my job. And I like to tell people, do not do that. Wait until you have enough money to be able to support yourself financially, your personal expenses and your business expenses. There's a lot of people that will only work part-time. So for example, you can start your business, work Monday through Friday, start your business on the weekends, right? Once you start making enough money, maybe you can go down to part-time, okay? And then, like I said, eventually when you're able to take care of your personal expenses, you still got to eat, you still need your lights on, you still got to buy food and put gas in your car. Once you're able to take care of that, and then I like to say also have enough money for emergencies, savings, as well as a just in case in your business, that's when you can step back from your day job and go into your job full time. And then there's a lot of people that they still have a full-time business and keep their job just because it's extra money, okay? So the next thing is commitment from a partner or significant other, right? When we get into business, especially if it's not just you, whether you're married or just living with somebody, You want to make sure that you explain to them exactly how much money you're going to be spending when you get into business. Don't just throw a number out from your head, and always tell them that it's going to take about twice as much than you predict. Because the thing about business is there's no set cost a lot of times. Sometimes costs come up that are just unpredictable. So make sure you explain to them, don't leave anything out, let them know your plan step by step. If they're not by your side, and for example, there's a lot of partners that we may want to invest a certain percent of our savings in the business and the other person doesn't think it's a great idea. Let them sit with you. Even if they don't understand what you're doing, let them sit and watch you. Maybe not invest the entire amount, but just let them see what you're kind of working with. The next thing you want to do is identify a mentor. Mentors are everywhere. Mentors can be your next door neighbor. Mentors can be one of us, somebody at your job, your boss. But it's good to have more than one mentor to kind of get an idea from a variety of people. Hold on, there's a few people that are saying they can't hear us. Ellie, Scott, I'm not sure.
Nikki, yeah, we can hear you.
Well, not that, yeah, they, okay.
Yeah, if you can't hear us, I don't know if they can hear this. For those of you who can hear parts, there is a place down on the left-hand side if you're on a computer screen by the mute and unmute button. That allows you to test your microphones, your audio, and you can kind of alter the settings so you can hear us best. If you're really having trouble, just remember, I will send this recording tomorrow. So if nothing else, just try and stick it out, but you will be able to hear that at some point tomorrow.
Hey, one of the secrets sometimes is to log out and log back in. It's sometimes just a connection issue. All right, go ahead, Nikki.
So yeah, with identifying a mentor, like I said, anybody can be a mentor. It's not always somebody that you're calling every day. It could be the stranger that you met on the street. My thing is just listen to everybody, take advice. That doesn't mean you have to do what they say, but they're just a great sounding board. Next is developing your product, right? So there are no steps when it comes to developing your product. It is going to depend on exactly what you're building, what your business is. You may need a patent, maybe you won't. Like I said, again, it depends on your business, okay? So next we're going to talk about, should you have a business partner, right? And this is really big. I love to tell people that going into business with somebody is literally like going into a marriage, okay? It is very, very similar. You have your pros and your cons. So some of the great things about having a business partner is that they supplement your knowledge, right? And so what that means is they can bring something to the table, okay? The other thing is a sounding board. Like we just talked about mentors, having a business partner is also a great sounding board. I have business partners that I love working with. Sometimes as a creative, I get 1,000 ideas in my head, and maybe only 1% of them actually make sense. So it's great to have that sounding board. The other thing too, and this is why a lot of people get into business, is combining financial resources. And you'll often find this when one person has, maybe they're more creative, maybe they kind of came up with the idea, but they don't have the funds. And so they might meet somebody that actually has the financial resources, okay? So those are some of the pros. Now the cons, just like with any marriage, is that you're gonna have disagreements, right? And there's no way around it. It doesn't matter if you're best friends, how long you've known each other, you're gonna have disagreements. So then the question is, well, how do you get out of it, right? What I always tell people is, before you get into any partnership, I don't care if it's a spouse, and yes, I mean a spouse. I'm married, I got into business with my husband, and I tell people, whether it's a spouse, whether it's a sibling, a cousin, best friend from when you were kids, have a contract in place, okay? Make sure that that contract outlines everything from who's in charge, how much money, if somebody's doing 50-50, what your roles are. Make sure you have all of that, okay? Because one of the things is confusion of leadership. A lot of times people get into business, and this often happens when you have friends and spouses getting into business. It happened with me and my husband. I was thinking, we don't really need any roles, you know, it doesn't matter. We live together, we're doing this together, right? But when it comes time to networking, when it comes time to getting financing, they don't really care if you're best friends from wherever. They want to know who's in charge, who are we talking to, okay? So just know your roles. It makes things go much easier. I don't know if you want to add anything, Scott.
No, I mean, I've experienced that here in the last year and a half, starting a business with my wife. We sort of made the same mistake as we just got into it. And then over time, we really had to sit down and talk tough about defined roles and who does what. And the advantage, well, one of the interesting things that we didn't think about is I'm coming with 10 years of experience of hard charging, and I attack. I don't wait. I attack the best that I can. And she's coming from being an employee for a long time. Even though she's had businesses in the past, she's been an employee. And so getting her up to my speed or me slowing down to meet somewhere in a happy middle was an interesting curve. So you're right on it. That is probably the one, if you're going to learn anything in here, if you were talking about a partnership, is I think we've talked about this last class we were teaching, right? Sitting down at a table, all devoid of all emotion, and laying it out with your partner, right? So make sure you take emotion out of the equation and say, look, this is what has to happen. This is how this is how we think it's going to happen. And if there is ever a problem, you have to be able to speak up and say, I can't, or what, you got to communicate. We learned a lot in that sort of that after class that we did, where we had that conversation with that individual. It was like, that's exactly how you do it. You just got to get very real with whoever your partner is, and especially if it's someone who is a significant other to you, a family member, your husband, wife, whatever, best friends. Anybody who has ever worked for me, who's ever been a friend in the past, is not much of a friend anymore, because they could not understand the difference between Scott friend and Scott business owner who has to hold you accountable for your job. Because in my eyes, when we go to work, if you're screwing up my life, but you're screwing up everybody else who you work with. And I get offended by that. So anyhow, that's my 2 cents.
Yep. But yeah, so it is very important, which is why whenever you pick a partner, you have to make sure that you guys are able to balance. So the first thing that you want to make sure is that your partner has integrity. I don't feel like that's something that needs to be said, but sometimes it does. But integrity is number one. The next thing is make sure that somebody compliments your talent. Notice I didn't say supplement, but I said compliment. Okay. For example, I don't want to get into business with somebody that's exactly like me, because I'm going to fail. I need to get into business with somebody that complements my talent. They can bring something a little bit different. Like I said, I'm a creative. My main business partner, he's very analytical. He brings something to the table, so we mesh well. Next thing, working as hard as you do. A lot of times in business, especially when it's something that you create, like when I founded my company, that's my baby. I loved it. But I found over time that there were people that just kind of wanted to be a part of something, but they didn't have that same passion, that same love that I had. So make sure when you get into business with somebody that balance is there. Again, whether it's a spouse, a friend, or who have you. And then balance is your personality type. That is very important. I'm an introvert, you probably can't tell, but extroverts tire me out. They really do. I work with them, but at the same time, sometimes I need to work with somebody who's just a little mellow. So that is very, very important. Okay.
Hey, Nikki, let me stop you there for a second. James Williams has his hand up. Can we take a question real quick? James, is your mic on? I think you're unmuted.
I'm trying to unmute him, but it's not working.
Huh.
Hey, I know he was also having trouble with connection because he kept having to go in and out. So
Okay.
it's maybe that.
All right. Sorry, I didn't want to script your flow, Nikki, but you know, at the same time too, yeah. All right, carry on.
All right. So yeah, so next we're going to talk about, and I talked about this a little bit before, about whenever you're getting into business with somebody having a contract, right? So when you're determining financial compensation, right? And we're talking about equity and buyout. This is really important because, like I said, business is like a marriage. So should that fail, you want to know who gets what and how much do they get, right? So I always like to say, make sure you get a lawyer. Do not go on Google. Yes, you can go on Google and download a contract. In this case, I strongly recommend that you get a professional to help you with this, and not rely on Google, okay? And so what that contract says is pretty much how to buy each other out. Again, like I said, equity and buyout. If you came in, you know, giving 40%, the other person put in 60%. The other person put in 60%. If you leave, you can split it that way. Another thing that people talk about is, okay, well, there's this thing called sweat equity, right? And that's when nobody brings any money to the table, but they put in a lot of the work, right? And so you'll be able to put all of that into the contract, okay? When it comes to buying each other out, always just assume that it's not going to work out. And that's probably the worst thing to say, but that's just the reality of it. In business, you just have to assume that things are not going to go the way that you hope they're going to go, okay? So again, there should be a legal agreement. One of the ways that you can determine the value of a company, let's just say I wanted to sell my company, I might ask my business partner, hey, how much do you think the company is worth, right? And I'll say, well, you know, I think the company's worth $100,000. And if I agree with him, I'll say, okay, well, you know, we can settle that on that amount. And then we would split it, you know, 50-50 or whatever is outlined in the contract, okay? So now let's talk about permits and licenses needed. This is going to be dependent on the business that you have, but it's also going to be dependent on where you live, okay? So some of the places that you can go to your, the State Department, they have that there. The Small Business Administration, Chamber of Commerce is another place that you can go. And then you want to check with your local municipality, like your state or city, because sometimes they have their own additional things that you may need depending on where you live, okay? Business plans, right? Should you have one? Absolutely. Does it need to be 20 pages? Absolutely not. Here we talk about having a one-page business plan. Now, if you guys can, you do have a worksheet. If you can go ahead and take that out, and I'll give you guys just a few seconds to get that. All right. Were you pulling it up, Charlie?
He's working on it.
Oh, okay.
I think it's also in the chat, if anybody can open it and download it right there. The one-page business plan is also there.
All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and start. So, one-page business plan, literally that's all you need, okay? So the first thing is your business description, or what we like to call your mission statement, right? So a mission statement is just a short statement of why your business exists, right? And the overall goals of the organization. What are you trying to accomplish, right? So when you're identifying these goals, right, you want to consider first off, what are you selling? What product or service are you providing, right? Who are your customers, right? And also, where are your customers? Are they in your city? Are they in your state? Are they outside? So all of these things you want to take into play. One of the things that I like to do whenever I'm crafting my mission statement, because it's kind of like your pitch, right? You can ramble and go on and on. I like to use the 5 W's, right? Who, what, when, where, and why. And that you can write out as much as you want. And that just kind of helps you narrow down your mission statement, okay? So the next is your major goal, right? What benchmark is the organization? And when I say benchmark, I mean goal. What goal is the organization trying to hit? And what is the date to have this achieved by, right? So for example, say in my business, say I have a cleaning business, right? And I say, well, I just started my cleaning business, and by June 1st, I want to have at least 5 clients on contract, like maybe monthly clients, right? So that would be my major goal, right? So now let's look at objectives, right? 3 or more things that must happen to actually meet this major goal of the organization. Now, the first thing that needs to happen is I need to get these clients. So I need to find a way to get these clients. Am I going to networking groups? Am I posting flyers? That's number 1, right? What other things that I'd probably need to do to get clients? Let's see. Maybe post on social media, maybe do a Craigslist ad, Facebook ad. So three things that must happen to meet the major goal of the organization, okay? Obstacles to overcome, 3 more obstacles that must be dealt with to meet the objectives of the organization. The first thing may be competition. That's usually one of the main obstacles. Maybe somebody started a few months ago. Maybe there are a ton of people in that area that's doing that business. That might be the first obstacle. The second obstacle, finances, right? Do you have enough money to gather the supplies that you need to do the cleaning, right? And then maybe the third obstacle is, do you have enough time to actually do this cleaning? That's one of the things people, when they're starting businesses, they often find that they don't have enough time, especially if they're already working a full-time job, okay? So your strategy, 3 or more plans of action designed to help meet the objectives of the organization. So you know what you need to do, and you know what can potentially get in the way. So what is your plan of action to make sure that June 1st, you get those 5 clients, right? And this is just for any business, whether it's a product or service, okay? And then we're going to look at action, 3 or more steps that must be taken, regardless of anything, that must be taken to help achieve the strategies of that organization, okay? So the one-page business plan, it's very simple, it's straightforward. This will change over time. And I always like to say for the business plan, like I said, who, what, when, where, why, as far as your mission statement, and just sometimes I like this one-page business plan right here. I always update my business plan every year, right? Because a lot of times in business, you'll find that first year, okay, the issues that you had, hold on 1 minute, Christian, what about financials? What do you mean, what about financials? Christian asked about financials. Are you talking about as far as an obstacle?
I'm trying to find him
Yeah.
to unmute him.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you, what about the financial ratios? I understand the one-page business plan. When the business ratios that are needed to be placed in the business plan to secure the financing. I understand you have to go through the, you go through the IBIS so you can understand your market better. And then also, what is it, the risk management statement? What about those so that we can present it to a lender so they can understand we do know about our market and what we're doing?
Right. So like we're saying, this right here, what we're going through is for those who are just starting business, right? So not everybody needs to go to a lender, and you're absolutely right. if you're actually going to go in business where you need to get financing, maybe you're doing like junk removal or something like that, where you need trucks or whatever, then yeah, you're going to have more than a one-page business plan. But if you're doing something like cleaning, if you're doing something like lawn care, then you don't need that. But as far as anything that would require you to get financials, then yes, then that would require you to have, like you said, risk management, understanding market, and all that.
And where would we obtain that from? Or are y'all able to refer us or help us?
There's tons of stuff online.
Yeah.
Tons of stuff. I mean,
Yeah, we can,
you can get a master's degree in asking Google what to do next. And so if you were to just simply Google business plan, there would be so many templates, it'd be ridiculous out there for you to pull from. But for the purposes of around here, most people are starting basic service-based businesses that are based in their labor for the most part.
Yeah.
And they're not starting with $10,000.
And I would say for you, this is free, Business in a Box, right? You can use the free version, and then they have a paid version. And they have, I know for a fact, because I use it, they do have an extensive business plan that has all of that information that you would be looking for. And it's called Business in a Box.
It was just a simple business. I just have a simple business plan, not asking for no more than 5,000. That's why I ask him to be able to present something. I understand about the one page, but he's going to ask me, okay, well, going to a finance company, not so much as the bank, but just even going to a simple finance company. But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So are there any other questions? I know you guys talk about mission statements, like Ali said, you will cover that. I think she said in week 5, but are there any more questions as far as the one-page business plan? Nope. Okay.
yeah, no, we got a question, Keisha.
Hey, I wanted to know if you can give us a sample of a mission statement, because I know we spoke on mission statement. So I just wanted to hear how long a good mission statement is, like whether it's 3 sentences, 4 sentences, because I have a mission statement. So I don't know if I need to make edits to it or what.
I got a recommendation. I did the exact same thing. So I literally, we were rebranding our business over here, changing names. We had a cultural issue going on, and we had to rethink what was up. I literally went to Chick-fil-A's website and almost copied and pasted word for word, and then changed it into our language, because I admire the way a Chick-fil-A works. And it's a good breakdown over. I think their whole About Us section is 2 to 3 pages, but it's because it's broken up in graphics and that kind of stuff, right? But go check that out. Go to another business that you might admire, and go see what their About Us section says, because usually that's the basics of what their mission is, and sort of has an idea of their own business plan.
Okay, cool.
Yep. So give that a try. Yeah, we don't believe in reinventing the wheel around here, man. Go steal it in a heartbeat. We're all criminals anyways. What's it matter? Yeah, I said it. All right. Carry on, Nikki.
So yeah, so that's business plans, right? So now let's talk about the capital needed to launch. Again,
don't steal that. Sorry.
Copyrighted. But yeah, so that's going to be dependent on the business that you have. Somebody who's looking to start a restaurant is very different than somebody that wants to, sell some dog biscuits and bake some biscuits in their kitchen, right? At the end of the day, regardless, you should have enough money to cover your living expenses, as long as you have a roof over your head, food on the table, gas in your car, and heat. Having that and be able to cover your business expenses as well. Okay. So next, talk about the technology needed to launch your business, right? Keep it simple. Sometimes we go above and beyond. You just need a phone, laptop, printer. You don't absolutely need a business phone. You can use, there's a lot of apps. You can use WhatsApp. They have all these free texting things that you can use that give you a second line. You do not need to go out and buy a new MacBook. Get something that's simple. Just don't spend a lot of money. You really don't. And next, we're going to talk about professional services needed, right? Again, just remind you, we're talking about simple businesses here. We're not talking about people that's ready to launch a, an app or a multi-million-dollar tech company. But again, this is going to be dependent on the business that you have. So first, an accountant, usually that's needed early on, but accountants cost money again. So you can use a lot of free resources, like you have QuickBooks, Wave app, Mint. A lot of people use Mint as well. But I will say one thing, save all your receipts. I don't care if it's a sock, a shoebox, a filing folder, keep all your receipts, okay? A banker is not critical, but if you are looking for any type of money, a lender, or maybe in the beginning, you might say, well, I don't really need any money right now, but I feel like, maybe in the next year or two, my business is going to expand. Start networking, start connecting with bankers, lenders, private money lenders, just everybody. Tell them your business plan, what you're looking to do. And that way, when it comes time to when you need money, you've already made that connection, okay?
Yeah. And let's add to that a little bit, Nikki.
Next is lawyers, right?
Nikki, can you hear me?
Mhm.
Hey, let's add to that just a little bit. It's easy to go and think,
Yeah, I hear you.
I bank at Bank of America. I bank at Wells Fargo. The bigger the bank, the harder it is more often for a small business owner. It has consistently been proven that if you go to more small, regional, local kind of banks, you'll get better treatment. Because they are more starved for you, right? So develop that relationship when you go to open a bank. One, automatically go ahead and start a bank account that is separate from your personal. Do not mix your business money with your personal money, because especially if you get more than a handful of jobs throughout the year, it then gets 10 times harder to figure out what money was what, right? So go ahead and make sure you have small, and we recommend small banks. Perfect examples, I have a relationship with my banker that all I got to do is call and say my name, and he knows exactly who I am. And the people behind the counter know exactly who I am. And that's the relationship I want. It's like, for those of us who remember Cheers, when Norm walked in the bar, everybody knew his name, right? And that's what the bank is for me. And that's important, even though I go to a branch that is 20 minutes from my house, because the local branch has never given me that same service, and they don't have the talented staff that 20 minutes away does. So that's the importance of finding a good bank. Don't mix in your personal money with your business money, because you can open a bank account for $100, whatever it is to open it, $100, $50 for some, $150 for others. It's worth it. It'll pay dividends overall. Anyhow, sorry, Nikki.
Yeah, and just to add what you said, a lot of these bigger banks too, they ask you to be more established. So it's just like with Wells Fargo, initially they wanted my business to have like 3 years of tax returns, where the smaller banks, you might not even really need an LLC if you're brand new, just a DBA, doing business as sole proprietor. So yeah. So that, a lawyer, not everybody needs a lawyer, but if you are going to form an LLC or have any type of partnerships, get a lawyer. Insurance agent, again, this is going to be dependent on your business. If you're getting into like the cleaning business where you need like liability insurance, yes, you will need an insurance agent. Okay.
Yes, please insure yourself.
Yeah.
Everything's fine until the hammer accidentally slides off the roof, or you're cleaning and you bump what looks like just a cheap piece of art, and come to find out it was $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you just never know what's going to pop. Spending the money is, while it feels like you're just throwing it out there into the ether and to never see it again, the day that you really need it, you might, you'll need it. Trust me.
Yeah. So that's insurance agent. And then I don't know if you want to take this. We're
Yep.
at how to get your first customers.
Yep. All right. So anybody, so let's real quick, let's open up to a couple of minutes for, let's take 3 questions if there's questions, because that was pretty rapid fire. Anybody got questions after that? I'm not seeing any hands go up, Charlie. That means that Nikki did a wonderful job.
We got David and Kelly. Let's go Kelly first and then
Okay.
David.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so how do we know if an insurance company is legit? Like I have been in the pet care industry for quite a while, but 15 years ago, I had a really good insurance policy, but now they're no longer in business. And, you know, being in jail and prison, I've lost touch with that whole circle of people. So I don't know who to use and who's legit and who's not. So how can I find that out?
To me, I would just start with the most basics of the brands that you already know. State Farm, Allstate, you know, the major ones, right? But then if you go to someone who's a broker, the brokers obviously have the ability to pull others. I mean, like I have policies with companies I've never heard of, but I've had them for years. But I've been with the same broker since day one. Because they've always treated me well. So I haven't even, and when we have shopped a little bit just to see, you know, the rates have always stayed the same. So I don't trust these internet companies that have popped up in the last couple of years that are, you know, that are internet brokers. They weird me out. I would rather know that someone has their skin in the game, has to pay for brick and mortar right now. As much as, trust me, I would like to save money because I think we spend about $2,000 plus a month on insurances right now. I'd love to save, you know, $500 would be great. But, you know, so just go with the standards, right? And shop around.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right, Rudy Tooty, fresh and fruity. Well, you're still muted.
So I was wondering, what's a reasonable interest rate for a small business loan?
Really, you know, if you're just starting to, if you can get anything under 10%, you're doing well. You know, the question I think, and Nikki, tell me if I'm wrong, the question you always ask is, what do I have and why does someone want to lend to me? Yeah, I'm 10 years in and I have a hard time with lenders still, you know. They don't like my business. They don't, you know, I mean, it's ridiculous, you know, the problems I have, but you're in a more lucrative kind of business. So, but yeah, 10%, you know, or under. I mean, you know, it just depends on how desperate you are and how fast you can pay it back too. You know, once you start getting over 15%, I would tell you, do you really need it? And truthfully, do you really need it? Because you're 3D design, right? So it's mostly design. You're not going out and buying printers, correct?
Correct. I was sort of curious in general. I already have a personal loan that's like 10.75% interest that I could use if I needed to.
Yeah. See that you're doing well. I mean, you'd be surprised how the interest rate that these even bigger organizations that are paying. You would like to think that listening to the news and everything else that, oh, big business gets everything for free, but they don't. They just know loopholes for taxes is what they have. You know, so at the end of the day, they figure out write-offs. But yeah, if you have that line of credit, you know, great. However, what do you need? You need a really good computer system. You need good software setup. You need that noodle between your two ears there, and, you know, and a really good creative process on how to make it all work, right? So what does a large sum of money going to do for you, except for maybe open up some doors for marketing? But I would also think that you could probably, you know, save some pennies by, you know, maybe doing some trade shows or something.
I've also been thinking of taking classes, but that might be too expensive.
Do you feel like you need classes?
Well, that's the thing is, without taking classes, how would I know? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm learning well, but how do I measure myself?
Okay. Well, no, that's a very valid point. I would agree with that. What do you think, Nikki?
Yeah, I would say going back to the personal loan, I will say that that's how I got started. When I started real estate, I used personal loans. If you got 10 point something percent, that's really good. And I would say whoever you're with, stay with them because you're still establishing, that rapport with them. So I still do business with my personal loan company, even though I may not need it, I still have them in my back pocket. As far as like classes and stuff, I never say no to education. Again, like Scott said, does it make sense? And it depends on the cost. I can go on Udemy or Coursera sometimes and get free education, discounted education, as opposed to paying for, a full course. So it just truly depends.
Yeah, you're playing in a world that we're not necessarily like. One, we don't know what your work looks like, and two, we don't know like what you're doing anyhow is like guru stuff to us in the first place. We just want you to produce it. We get confused on how it gets produced. So if you think that you could be better, then yeah, go get better. If you can start where you're at and still baffle us, then start where you're at and get some money in your pocket maybe before you feel like you have to go spend some.
All right, we got Zachariah and Cornell and Christina. So let's start with Zachariah.
Hey guys.
Hey buddy.
I was just wondering, what would you suggest as some of the first steps to build your business credit?
Not credit cards. It's really, so one, get a Dun & Bradstreet number. It's otherwise known as a DUNS number, DUNS, and start trying to figure out any account that will report to it. I think Staples reports to DUNS, and I think the DUNS site also has a list, and the DUNS number is, okay, so you have your social security number that you were given as a kid, right? But then we've all heard of having an EIN number, right? That's your employer's number, right? That's more of a, the states look at that more than anything else. Then there's the federal number, which is the DUNS number, right? Most people never think about getting a DUNS number, but a DUNS number, you can sign up Dun & Bradstreet. .com something. By the way, it's the only way you can get a DUNS number, and it's free, just like anything else. If anybody's telling you that, oh, pay us and we'll give you this, don't do that. All right. It takes a little bit of time. It's been so long since I've done mine, and Nikki, maybe you know this or maybe you don't, but I can't remember if it asked me for any of my other federal codes or whatnot. I think it did. And so sometimes it takes a little bit of research, learn more about what your business is and the codes that the feds use for you. But over time, it'll pay for things. Perfect examples. My DUNS number was so good that Penske built me a $90,000 box truck just off of my score. I didn't give them anything. They built me the truck. They were not happy when I returned the truck and shut down that side of my business. In fact, they charged me for that portion. But that DUNS number can carry some weight. So I couldn't go get a normal loan from a bank, but a DUNS number in my score on my DUNS side of things, my federal score got me a $90,000 vehicle. So.
Yeah, because I started with the DUNS number. I did that initially when I started my business back in September.
Mm-hmm.
How do you improve the score or establish it?
It's just about age at this point. It's about just doing the next right thing.
Okay.
See if someone will give you a business credit card, and don't use it like a credit card. Use it like your debit card. All right. You already have to spend that money for business. So start. I'm trying to practice this in my own personal life, and I've heard about it from years, and I just was stubborn and finally said I'm doing it. So I don't spend a lot off my debit card anymore. It's all through my credit card, and I sit down every week and I pay the credit card. So they see that activity, and over time and age, you know, you improve. And that in your own personal life, because right now for you guys starting, you're personally backing everything that you're doing. So you got to make sure that your own personal life is in order the best you can. And sometimes it's just not. I got a stepchild who's killing me with car payments. I'm a co-signer on the car, and I get myself straight, and she decides to not make payments for 2 or 3 months. And I'm like, ugh, you know, so we're all, everyone here is in a unique boat. I guarantee there's probably people on here. There's a chance there's one person on here who has 800 credit score here. But probably the vast majority of us, it's tanked because we've never learned to use credit or no one taught us about money. So if you want to raise things, start learning about how money works and doing those small things to improve it.
And I just want to
Okay,
add something
thanks.
to you, because I know for some people that absolutely need the money, I never recommend this again unless you are good with your money, because I've done this. There are lenders out there, companies out there, and you want to make sure that they're credible, that what they will do is, instead of you going ahead and applying for all these different credit cards and personal loans, is they run your credit once, and they have partnerships with banks. They have partnerships with lenders. Your credit score is run once, and then whatever you're approved for, you'll get them in credit cards. Again, we don't recommend credit cards, but in some cases you may need them if you're needing equipment. But that is another option. I've done it before. Was it a mistake? Yes and no. It did help me establish business credit under the business name. You do need an LLC for that. But again, only if you absolutely have to and you're good with your money.
You better be able to make that up quick, because when those interest, like if it starts off with 0% interest and you have 6 months to a year, if you don't get that stuff paid off, now you will jump to 19 to 29% interest on, let's just say you got $10,000. So, or $30,000 or whatever, right? Because we always take what's been given and we'll spend it up. Oh, it's at 0%, and then it'll catch up with you. And now you'll be in a monster world of debt. So think hard and fast on, do you need it? And be very real with yourself.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Zachariah.
We got Cornell.
Hey, buddy.
What's going on, everybody? How you doing this week?
We're doing good. We're doing good. How can we help you?
I wanted to touch bases on the DBA that Nikki was talking about, because she said something about a DBA instead of an LLC, and I don't really think I've really heard too much about a DBA.
A DBA is called doing business as. It's when you're a sole proprietor, right? Normally you just go onto your state site. It's a few bucks, maybe $10, $15. It's going to be dependent on the state that you're in as well. But again, that's, if you're getting in a business where you have employees, I would say when you're just starting, that's fine. But when you get to the point where you're having employees and, you know, actually making money, eventually you want to switch over to an LLC. But a DBA is just registering your business name. So for example, say with mine, it might be, you know, Nikki Grizzle doing business as the Entrepreneur Solutionist, right? So it'd be you doing business as whatever your business is.
Okay, cool. Hey, Bob, we got to move on, Charlie.
Yeah, okay. I just want to say one thing. We're going to touch base on that on, I think it's week 4 or week 5, you know, with each of those kind of set up LLCs, partnerships, sole proprietors. So yeah, so we'll definitely touch that topic a lot deeper. So
yep. For those who still have questions, hang out afterwards. We'll talk then. All right, so let's move on to marketing. And good questions, guys, by the way. I know it's easy to be full of all kinds of stuff, and then someone asks something and it sparks something else. All right, so let's talk about marketing. So marketing and sales for a lot of people often gets, the water gets muddy, right? Because marketing is how I'm attracting you. Sales is the act of you purchasing. It is the transactional process. And only at the top of a sales funnel is where marketing and sales, where the two rivers sort of meet and get muddy, right? So, but they're very simple. So marketing, look at it this way, is where you're just shouting out your name. It's you're throwing your brand out there and this is who I am and come see me. And it's awareness, right? I'm creating all this awareness. Sales, which they'll talk about next week, is about the transaction. So right now we're going to talk about how to attract people. All right. So again, so marketing is getting the leads. Selling is converting leads into customers. All right. Clear and defined. Can marketing be expensive? Yes, it can cost an arm and a leg, or it can be relatively free. How good are you at shouting your name and communicating who you are and that you exist? All right. It's just dependent on each person and how they can throw themselves out into the world. What is branding? Well, when Coca-Cola puts their name on something that has nothing to do with the can that holds the drink, that's branding, right? Nike swoosh, right? That's branding. That's something that no matter what they put it on, you recognize it, okay? So branding is an image, right? It's the beginning of awareness. So our definition here is for companies like Coke or Disney, when you are ready to buy, think of me mentality, right? Marketing, direct response is action for action now, asking for action now. So when I'm marketing, I'm asking you to come to me now, right? I'm not just saying, hey, think of me. That's branding. Example being, let me look around my office here. No, there's nothing really standing out in my head. Let's just say if I'm wearing a Nike shirt here and I have the swoosh, I'm currently just branding, but if I'm watching a commercial, that was the marketing. Make sense? Okay. All right. So strategies, pick 3 to 5 low cost or free options. All right. So social media is a free option. Email can be a relatively free option too. MailChimp, Constant Contact, they all have free aspects to them. Social media can be. It is getting harder and harder to do anything for free inside of social media, but if you're creative, you'd be surprised how much you can actually get done. Websites, you can build websites for super cheap, right? There's Wix, there's Squarespace, Shopify. All of these are things that you can go in and plug and play. If you are someone who is more savvy, all WordPress is free. Yes, you have to pay for your domain name through us. You have to pay for some hosting. A lot of this is pretty self-explanatory. Just go to Google. There's tons and tons of up-to-date videos on how to do it specifically for the year of 2021. So the most up-to-date information as possible. You have email campaigns, like we said. You have word of mouth. The best form of marketing is when Nikki tells me how much she enjoyed something. Like right now, let me tell you about HelloFresh. All right. I have recently been just ordering some food, pre-done recipes to save time and effort, because in our home, we're in a food rut. Right? We're just eating the same stuff over and over. And they had 12 free meals for whatever I got to order. Dude, in a heartbeat, HelloFresh. I'm digging it. I've dug every single recipe I've had to make. And you're now more apt to listen to what my experience was if you're interested. All right? It carries 10 times more weight than anything else you ever see. You get traditional media, radio, TV, magazines, expensive. We used to run billboards for the foundation when what they cost a month is almost a salary, for somebody. Strategic alliances. If I am let's say I'm a restaurant that doesn't really have a good dessert person, right? If you're a baker, you're a pastry chef, you're a dessert person of some sort, and I can sell my stuff, my desserts into this restaurant, right? So if I am if I'm a tow truck driver and I pair with a garage that doesn't have tow truck services, there's a million different ways to think about this. A cleaner who maybe works in concert with a cleaning service and maybe a dog walking service. I don't know. Is there a way to connect different services that deal with residential customers where you're promoting each other? Business cards. The world has changed a lot. I think less people are using business cards because we can do things digitally these days. Perfect example, we had to get my wife a new phone, and the salesperson took her phone and said, and programmed in his number before we got out of the store. And still today, I remember his name. His name is Ryan. And so all I got to do is think, oh, well, I need something up at the store. I just look up in her phone, Ryan, and he'll be there. Does everyone needs business cards? I don't know. I think I think they're cheap. I think they're super cheap. There's no reason why you shouldn't have them, especially at the very beginning. Because your job right now is to be giving your name out to anybody and everybody, right? You're in the grocery store line. I don't care. You can be that weirdo who, the person in front of you and the person back here, you need a card, call me. T-shirts. Today you can do print on demand T-shirts, so, I mean, how many times have we been standing in a line somewhere or walking somewhere and there's the painter and back into the shirt is the phone number. I need a painter today. I need this today. All right. Lawn signs, brochures, networking, nonstop talking. This is what I do. This is how I'm doing it. Promotional items. Perfect example. All right. Promotional items, Inmates to Entrepreneurs Cup. I went out and I bought some of these cups for Christmas and stuff for my guys because Allie sent me this cup and this is awesome. And I love these things, and so, like I said, I was gone all week and I was in Charlotte working, and I was at a YMCA, and come to find out, this YMCA uses a lot of third-party services. And so I will be sending them cups to remember us, because if I can get this one YMCA, it might give me 12 YMCAs. And that's my goal. I don't want the one, I want the 12, but if I can put this kick butt cup in these individuals' hands that they're going to use constantly, they're going to look down and they're going to see Service RX on it. That's marketing right there. I'll even send you cake. I've been known to do that. I got 3 LA Fitnesses after a meeting with their head of operations, I sent them a chocolate cake. I have no shame in my game. I got a salesperson who just left one organization and got another one. And I just sent him a dozen cupcakes. No shame in the game because I want to make sure he's calling me, right? Then you can sponsor things. We've all seen that in the back of shirts. Sponsor this. There's a toy drive. There's a this drive. That kind of stuff. So those are some ideas of the ways in which you can market. So, what's the who? What are the marketing basics? Well, the who. Define who you're marketing to. Example being, if you're going to cut lawns, if you're going to be a cleaning service, you do not want to go to the portion of town where everybody is making $40,000 or less because they don't have the money to pay you. You got to go to the right crowd, right? I mean, God bless, trust me, everybody wants a cleaner, but who can afford the cleaning companies? here's a little trick. I want you guys to write down, if you are in a business where you need to go speak to a very specific monetary demographic, go to Google and type in, let's just say, I'm going to use Raleigh is the example. Population of Raleigh, North Carolina. And somewhere on that first page is going to be a website called City-Data. And it'll be Raleigh. When I go to City Data and I scroll down, there will be a heat map that will tell me from white to purple, and the darker the purple, Allie just put it in the chat, the darker the purple, the more money is in that neighborhood. It tells me the income of the neighborhood. So it uses the census that our government puts out to tell you where people have the income. So if let's just say I'm a lawn care service and I'm going to put out flyers, I want to go to the neighborhood that can afford me. If I'm going to pay for a postcard service, I want to send it to the neighborhood that can afford me, right? Because my job is to make money, not to waste my time. So let's go where we have the highest chance of hitting a home run, right? Know where to find your people, or who your people are and where to find them, okay? And again, sometimes that's a demographic thing too. Am I selling a product that is really targeted towards women of color that are from age 35 to 55? Am I selling to, young boys because I'm making something that is age appropriate? Who am I talking to? Nikki already talked about the who, what, when, where, why for your business plan. That's the same in marketing. The what, design your offer to appeal directly to the group on a scale of 1 to 10 in importance. Again, who are you talking to? Think about how you're going to communicate to them. You've been marketed to your whole life. How has somebody tried to sell you the exact same product? First, just go ahead and copy the wheel. Lastly, how can you tweak the wheel to be in your voice? Let's go back to a maid service. There's a company in Raleigh that I don't even know how I follow them on Instagram, and they were really good at just little short videos following their cleaners around, and made their cleaners look like rock stars. I guarantee you TikTok today, it would be amazing to sell yourself on. The why. How are you different? So that's when you want to start to tweak your message. How am I different from everybody else? And then how are you going to make their life easier? What's in it for them? Always think about that when you're talking to your customer. What is in it for them? Because you do the same thing when you go to purchase something. You say, what's in it for me? So what's in it for your customers? All right, so we only got a couple minutes left. So let's, you guys have, we'll do some questions afterwards, but I want to get through this analysis real quick. All right, Charlie, can you pull up the example of the marketing analysis? It's easier when we're all looking at it together. And then we're going to try to catch some questions before we get out and let you guys go. And I know this was sort of rapid fire tonight. So please hang out if you have the time. Okay. So when you're marketing, so you're not accidentally throwing money continuously out the door. And I remember one time, I think I was just running pay-per-click campaigns. So pay-per-click is when you go to Google and the very first top 3 stuff say ad for your topic, whatever you're searching for, that's pay-per-click. So every time you clicked on my ad, I had to pay Google. Okay. And we got to the end of the month and I'd spent $500 and not a single customer came out of it. So we had to do some learning there. All right, so break-even analysis. And so we're going to use this example, and you have this in your workbook, by the way. All right, so you can fill this out. And please don't let this overwhelm you that you have to know how to do all this stuff correctly. There's not a single person on here ever teaching you that has not screwed all this up, and will not continuously get this sort of wrong at times. But it's good to understand that there's a way to track what you're doing, right? So you're spending $100 on your advertising, right? Each sale that you make, you're selling for $50. All right. But the cost for you, so your widget, we're going to call your product a widget. All right. Your widget costs you $40 to make. So if I sell it for 50, but it costs me 40, I'm going to make $10 in profit. Right. I've spent $100 on advertising. So that means I have to sell 10 widgets to even break even. All right. Everybody follow me there? Because I'm only making $10 in profit. I've spent $100 on advertising. I got to get to 10 first before I even break even. So that means that if I sell 25 widgets and my profit was $250, after I remove my $100 marketing cost, I made $150. Simple math to follow how much you're spending on marketing and how much it profited you. Doesn't matter what the number is, understanding what that's called cost of goods sold, what it cost you versus what you spent on marketing. Did you make any money? If it's a negative number, you either need to tweak and retest. That's called A/B testing. Anytime anyone says A/B test it, that means that they've done one version and they put another version of the same ad side by side to see which one did better. Right? You never want to be in the negative. That's always a bummer. I don't like to throw money out into the wind. I don't think anybody would ever raise their hand and say, yes, I like to lose my money. Unless you play the lottery every single time, then maybe you do. Pretty simple stuff. So marketing, again, shouting your name. If you're a lawn care service, you just did Miss Smith's lawn. Maybe you bought some door hangers from Vistaprint. Vistaprint is a great place for everything you sort of need. Decent quality, good price, always having a sale. You got some door hangers. Oh, I just did Miss Smith's lawn. I'm going to put a lawn sign out in the lawn. And then I'm going to do what's called a clover leaf. And that means I'm going to go either 1 or 2 doors to the left or the right. And then I'm going to do those same across the street, because those are the neighborhoods who see Miss Smith's lawn. And then that's how I'm going to try to pick up the neighbors. It's called clover leafing. That's what my son calls it, at least. It makes sense to me. All right. If I'm going to do online, but any kind of advertising where I'm spending money, I want to know how much it costs me for my product. You know, where my profitability is. How many times do I have to sell that before I break even? It's a good way to start slow. So let's just say you made yourself a Facebook page. You started marketing there. Facebook, again, go watch YouTube. There's plenty of stuff that talks about how to sell on Facebook, how to market on Facebook, because it can talk about your demographics. It can talk about income. It can talk about interests. Let's say you're a wedding planner. So you are looking for people who are starting to search around weddings stuff, right? So in your interest section in Facebook, you'll put wedding type things. Who are you talking to? Right? Marketing is only as hard as you want to make it, but in its most simplistic form, it's nothing more than shouting your name and how are you going to shout it and who are you going to shout it to. I work in a niche market and it's extremely hard for me to talk directly to the wellness director at a YMCA. But if I'm a plumber, that's not hard because I can walk out the door and find the very next building that has a bathroom, a sink, or anything else, and that's a potential customer. So don't let it overwhelm you, but just understand what your message is. And when you see somebody too, I had some plumbers here, man. I had to do plumbing. I guess I threw it away. Anyhow, they left all kinds of stuff with me. It's sat on my desk here for a long time. Yeah. And would I use them again? Sure. Why not? You know? So branding, marketing, try to track your marketing so you don't accidentally throw money out into the ether. You know, we work hard for that money. We don't want to waste it on anything if we don't have to. Nikki, you got anything to add to that?
No, I just say with marketing, I mean, just try everything, period, to get sales. I mean, I've done marketing that I thought was going to work. I was like Facebook ads. I'm a millennial, so I feel like Facebook ads was going to work for me, and it didn't. So try everything, and whatever gives you the sales, that's what you go with.
Yep. And also too, it's not just a one and done. So there used to be a rule when we were still in the phone book and pick up the phone and cold call people stage of the world, or, you know, the salesperson knocks on your door. It used to be, you know, the more technologies we had, but I think it was like 6 or 7 touches. So a touch is every time someone tries to communicate to you is called a touch. And now they're talking about 13 and 14. So just because you're running an ad doesn't mean that that person also didn't click on the ad, but then turn around and looked you up on Google Business. Everyone here needs to have a Google Business page. Again, go to YouTube, look up Google Business. It is so simple to figure out and to start. There's just no reason why you shouldn't. And you don't have to, and by the way, it's going to send you, often it's going to ask you for your business address. You don't have to advertise your business address on Google Business. They just have to send you a card to activate it. That's all I got for marketing and whatnot. So before we let you out of here and then we start taking after class questions, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. It was a lot of fun. Let's see here. Let me get into here. I got some stuff popped up.
I'm just going to add
Go ahead.
I'm going to add a few things before they leave. First things we talked about, business cards. Camcard is an app.
Mm-hmm.
You can store business cards on there and share them. It's free. You do not have to pay for it. I use it. For websites, not everybody is website handy, tech savvy. A landing page is literally just one page. You can put that information up there. You don't need to have about me and contact and all that stuff. It's very simple. Drag and drop builder, Wix, Weebly, and Shaper is free. It is a networking, it's an app, right? It's literally like Tinder for professionals and it's free. Or you can do the premium version and you can network that way as well. That's all I got.
Yep. You know, and let me follow that up and then we'll give you, as you see, our homework is on the page as well. Don't feel bad if you don't know any of these things. If what you feel like you're hearing sounds like Greek, it sounds overwhelming. Every one of us have to start somewhere, and that's okay. Nikki's got years of trying new things and having something come across her plate, and she's trying it. Same with me. You know, when I started, I knew a little bit about computers and hell, when I got home from prison, you know, the smartphone was starting to become a thing, right? So we were just now getting to the smartphone stage. And for me personally, I keep a high-end smartphone because I can run a business from a high-end smartphone. I almost don't need my laptop. You know, I can almost do the vast majority of stuff from my phone because nowadays everything is interconnected, but I didn't learn that overnight. So I had to jump in and just start doing it. And that's all we're going to do is encourage you guys to do the same thing. Don't go, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do this and shut down. Realize that, oh, well, let me just try one thing at a time. Remember, this is an elephant and the only way you eat the elephant is one bite at a time. Just one bite at a time, one step at a time. You just have to get started. And it slowly but surely becomes more intuitive. And you go, oh, I understand how this works. So don't try to master everything at once. It's never going to happen. You know, I'm still trying to figure out half of what's going on. Heck, I had to go be a technician in the field after 2.5 years of not being a technician in the field. And the first couple of jobs, I'm knocking off the rust, and I'm going, I don't know if I'm confused. And I was confused on a weekend when I didn't have much support. So that was even worse. You know, that's okay. I'll figure it out. Tomorrow, I'm going to have to call one of my other technicians and go, hey, teach me about this here, because this did not exist last time I was out in the field. So that's okay. It's exactly where you guys are. And you're also going to you're going to find things, you're going to latch onto it thinking that it's your saving grace, and you're going to figure out that it doesn't work very well for how you need to work as well. So that's all we got. Again, work on elevator pitch. Think about your marketing and break even and marketing basics. So there's a worksheet in there, fill it out, get the stuff out of your head. Work on your one-page business plan, get it out of your head, start talking. If you have a partnership thought process, you need to sit down with your partner and have a very direct, emotionless conversation, because business doesn't care about your emotions. It has no emotion in it whatsoever. And so, and especially if it's a friend or a loved one, just hash it out. What is your job? What is my job? And be very real about when you're uncomfortable about a job. I can tell you right now, I get very fearful about things in life. And when I'm fearful about it, it helps when I acknowledge that. And I also tell somebody else, I'm a little scared to do this. You know, it makes me nervous because I'm a human being, and it takes away its power. And your significant partner, your partner will appreciate that if you can have that level of communication. All right. Because that's where you'll grow to be strong, because you'll be willing to discuss when things are not going well. And especially when it's on you that you're not performing well, and you know that. And then when they're not performing well, either you have the opportunity to express that, or they will recognize and express to you. So thank you guys for hanging out. We're going to let you out the door.